meeting to order. It's a personnel committee meeting. The reason we called this meeting today, the sheriff had contacted me and said that Rivercrest School would like to have another SRO. We have Ms. Bennett here also from the school, so I'm going to let the sheriff explain it, and if he wants to ask Ms. Bennett to help him with it, go right ahead.
Well, the gist of it, we have one SRO down there that's falls under my color of authority for the sheriff's department, and Ms. Bennett and Rivercrest School has requested another SRO to help them in the other school building, which I agree with 100%. They need it. They've already had a school board meeting about a week ago and approved the numbers that I got from Kelly that I just gave you, Mr. Ash. Okay. And that'll cover everything but a vehicle and a couple of uniforms, and I advised her that we would try to help her with that with an older vehicle. And once it goes through the police and fire personnel and the finance committee, then we'll do an interview with about 6 of us. But anything else, Ms. Bennett, I'd like her to say whatever she's got to say in support and requesting this SRO for Rivercrest School System.
Well, we appreciate your consideration of this request. It's important to us, particularly where we're located, right off I-55, and we do have an opening there, and I know that that'll provide our patrons and our students with an extra level of support that we would greatly appreciate.
All right. My understanding is that y'all have already approved the $52,418.59 for this position through your budget.
Yes, sir.
And this will be paid just like we are with Damon Travis, who's your other SRO.
That's correct.
And I understand that y'all have somebody you're looking at for this position.
I think there was a candidate in mind, but we're certainly open to interviewing and whatever we need to do there. We've actually identified earlier this morning office space for that individual, whoever it turns out to be.
Okay. Brought this straight to personnel because police and fire has already approved a couple of different positions in SROs. We have one at one at Armorell, and we have one down at Rivercrest. This would just be an addition. There will be no cost to the county except for a couple of uniforms and possibly an older car that he would be trading off, I'm assuming anyway, before long if we didn't keep it. Like I say, this would be, it's like a pass-through grant for us. They pay we'll pay him, it answers directly to the sheriff. What we need to do is create a slot for this position and set a salary. The salary would be $34,121 per year. The Social Security and Medicare are, make sure I'm reading these right, $26.10 and 26 cents, retirement $52.734, and insurance $10,460 a year for a total of $52,418.59. What we would do is, if we approve this, then it would go to finance to approve the finance of the budget on it, and then it would go to the full court next Tuesday.
You said create a slot. Don't we already have one?
No, I think the sheriff pretty much has all of his slots full, and this would be specifically designated, unless he had an emergency where he pulled everybody in, this would be designated strictly.
Didn't the previous SRO have a slot?
He's still there. They are replacing they have these school, and I'll let you tell
School security officers.
School security officers, okay. They have a school security officer that they let go, and they're replacing them with an SRO. So they had school, but they didn't have, he had no deputy. He was just security. He had no arrest authority, anything like that. This would be a deputy.
No county affiliation.
Right.
That's right. I might add, this one that we're discussing right here is a base deputy position right out of the academy, so it would be at the bottom rung.
Okay, but it is like for a certified position, not?
Certified law enforcement officer, yes.
What's your pleasure?
I'll make a motion that we make a slot for the SRO for the Rivercrest district.
Okay. Do I have a second? Bill Nelson seconds that. Is there any discussion? Does anybody else have any questions or comments about it?
How many SROs do we support around the county? It's no cost to the county, I'm just curious. How many, we're doing this in more than one place, aren't we?
Right now, we just have two at this time. One at Armorell that was approved a year ago or whatever, and one that was approved 4 or 5 years ago down at Rivercrest. So we've only got two right now. This would be the third one. That's the only two schools that are actually out in the county, not in the city limits where there's a police department.
Any other discussion? Not, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? Okay, so this will go to finance to be funded and to set up the contract and everything so that we can have a Tuesday night. That's what we just did. We created a slot with this salary. Okay. Does anyone else have any other business to bring before the Personnel Committee? Jeremy, did you want to say something today?
Yeah, and I didn't know if I need to in this one or the Finance Committee meeting, but, I've seen the video of the last, I don't know what committee that was, but whatever meeting that was from Thursday, I believe. And I've spoken with a few of you guys on that, and I just want to let everybody know that, there's an affidavit that the judge signed that's in connection with this, legal action for determination from a circuit judge on the finance department. And he has his own attorney on that. You guys have your own attorney on that. I'm not involved in it. My involvement with that affidavit was I notarized his signature. I didn't have anything to do with drafting it or anything like that. And if any of you guys had walked in my office that day and asked me to notarize yours on a similar thing, I'd have notarized yours too. I wouldn't now, or his either.
Can you see how questions would come up?
Oh, exactly, I do, but
Because nobody had talked, nobody had said anything, but I was asked a couple of times. And the subject had come up a few times. And I'm the one that vocalized it, but it was being wondered about by everybody. Nothing personal.
No, sure, no problem. I understand. My name was on there, and I'm supposed to be neutral in all this, and I am. I'm just each of you guys have your own attorneys on that, and I haven't been involved for either side.
And that is correct. It was just he was handy.
So, and that's pretty much it. You guys, I have not and will not be involved in that on either side.
Well, that's why Justice Burge, I think, made the suggestion maybe we just needed to call you and talk to you.
And that's what happened. I notarized it, and I had forgotten that I did, because whenever it came up in the committee meeting, I was kind of perplexed, like, what did I do? And then when Justice Ash mentioned on the phone that I had notarized it, that makes sense. But that was my involvement, and the extent of my involvement in that.
I appreciate the explanation, and I bet everybody else does too. And thank you for that.
They cleared it up with me too.
I appreciate it.
When he called me, that was Friday afternoon.
I think it's Friday.
I just told him we were meeting today and asked him if he wanted to attend and he could give his explanation, because I figured that would be better coming from him than from me.
I hope that clears it up in everybody's mind. If you have any more questions, I'd be happy to.
While you're here, would you give us an update on the insurance?
Yeah, I talked to Dave Nickel probably Wednesday or so of last week, and where they're at is all the counties have signed on. We signed on, and it's 5 more counties in Arkansas that have signed on, all of them that there were. There are 2 in Mississippi. Those 2 counties have signed on. There are a couple private companies that have the same issue, and they're all signed on. So everybody, all the actual policyholders that this affects have signed and said they'll join in. And so now they're working on an arbitration agreement that's been circulating for approval of mainly it'd be Dave Nickel and then the attorneys for Gerber and whatever other company that is. And they're trying to figure out the semantics of how it's all going to work. One of the main things was, who's going to be considered the plaintiff, who's going to be considered because originally the third-party administrator filed this lawsuit, and so they're the plaintiff in federal court, but this is not going to be taking place in the federal court case. It's going to be a separate arbitration. So who's the plaintiff, who goes first? How are the claimants all treated? Are we going to try to, have, each of us have counsel, which I think everybody will, but I think it's going to be duplicative to have everybody go up and ask the same questions, and so they're trying to figure all that out. And that's really all that's between us and going in there and arbitrating the case, is figuring out exactly how it's going to work, and then you got to pick the 3 arbitrators, pick a place, and I'm not sure where that's going to be yet either. But the good news is everybody, all the possible claimants have actually signed on or on board. So
Any kind of time frame at all?
he didn't have. It's hard to say. I would think, as far as it's gone along, you'd think that we could get in within the next 6-8 months, but I don't know that.
I haven't gotten any recent calls from employees. Have you talked to anybody?
No, I haven't heard a thing.
Kelly, have you heard from anybody?
I get calls every week.
About unpaid bills and where we're at?
Well, lately there's been some calls about bills actually getting paid. I don't know what's going on with that, but a few people have had some things paid and they received notification on that, and then they're still.
From this company?
I will say that I had a bill hanging out there. I didn't even bring it to Kelly. I was going to write a check. I got a notice that they got paid. I don't know what's going on.
They said at one point in open court to the federal judge that they would start paying claims. But then they started dragging their feet on other issues. They would send accountings over to the third-party administrator, just kind of, according to Dave Nickel, kind of, just red tape them to death. But they said to the federal judge that they'd start paying claims, and so maybe some of that's going on.
Where will the arbitrator, we don't know what state the arbitration will take place.
Do not.
If arbitration breaks down, will this be in the federal system since there's different states involved?
Yep. Well, then, at that point, we would probably be either on our own or with the other 5 Arkansas counties, one or the other, here in Arkansas somewhere, probably Little Rock.
So do you have anybody that's still getting collection notices, or did everybody get the letter from that Jeremy had drafted?
There's been a few people that we've sent that letter to, if they call and ask for it, we offer that. I don't know a lot of people that are in collections. They're getting doctor bills, and of course the next step is collection. So that's been discussed, but I don't know a lot of people that have actually been sent. I think there are several providers that are holding off. They're aware of the situation. I think they're holding off a little bit, so. But I haven't heard from everybody, just the ones I heard.
Anybody else have any other questions?
Dave also told me that if anybody has an individual claim, that it won't hurt, like if it's looking like they're gonna get turned over to collection and don't want to, then it won't hurt to come up with some kind of agreement with the doctor to make some sort of payment plan or something over time. It won't hurt to do that as long as the people keep up with how much they spent, because obviously we'll be claiming that it should be repaid to them. So, but he has told me that will not hurt anybody's claim if they do that.
Okay.
That's good to know. Had one tell me that their pediatrician would not see their child until they made a payment. they had to make a payment.
And then, well, and we were afraid there that they wouldn't pay it if somebody had already paid it, we were afraid they wouldn't pay it, so. Okay. Anything else?
Is there a limit? Say, what, a limit on what amount that,
For each individual, no, I don't think so. The only limit's on the county, and that's kind of the whole issue, is it was supposed to be $600,000, and they raised it to $1 million in the middle of the contract year, and that's been the problem. But there's no individual limit. No.
Well, I have no other meeting, we have no other business for personnel committee, so I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, we are adjourned, and we'll be moving into finance here shortly, so I'll finish this.